Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Corrupted Nation. I kind of a different video today. I kind of wanted to. This video has come about because I talked about this and talking about this on my Morning Madness show, but I wanted to bring up this little sliver of nostalgia for everybody because it kind of just hit me in the head as I was thinking about some things. And it was all sparked by my son, my youngest kid. He's got one of those Pac-Man lights. I like kids' toys. You hang it up. It's really a light, but he runs around with it going, woo, woo, woo. He like does the noises and stuff like that. And yeah, this totally triggered me into realizing something earlier. Hey, tell everybody what the Pac-Man does. I think he's over there. Pick him up. Alright. Show everybody what Pac-Man does. Woo, 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 woo. Is that what happens when he gets hit? Do the Pac-Man noise. This kid was going around doing that, and it just made me think of Pat. I don't know why, but him doing that voice, I knew what it was. I heard it from the other room, and I was like, it sounds like when Pac-Man dies or whatever, you know? And I'm like, wow, is that Pac-Man? And he came in with the Pac-Man light, and I was like, oh yeah, it is Pac-Man. He's doing Pac-Man. I get it. So then I picked up the camera, and I told him to do that. Because I wanted to hear it again. It was kind of crazy. I don't know why my dog's flipping out upstairs, but yeah, it made me think of back in the day. It made me think of the remember when you used to go into like a restaurant or like a place where they would have the old Pac-Man games in the old Pac-Man arcade? I just realized that, like, how crazy. It's weird because you're sort of starting to see that again, and it's only for like a retro. It's like a throwback thing. It's weird. It's like I've been thinking for a while. Like, remember when you used to go into the bar, and there'd be a Pac-Man system there. You know, one of those big TV kind of arcade machines, table ones though, and it was laid out like on like a table. You know, like this. And this is like one of the classic ones, I guess. But there's so many of them. Not the arcade machine necessarily like this, where you're holding the trigger and standing up and drinking a 7-Up, apparently. Product placement. But, well, that's actually probably a commercial for 7-Up. But, you know, one of these tables where you went in and you could sit down. Like, there was tables where you could actually sit down and, you know, you would eat your food or drink on these machines. At least that's what I remembered. And there was different variations in the machines. But just that 80s vibe of the excitement of these things. And the thing about it is, you would see them. They weren't rare, but like they were. If that makes any sense, like you would see them. Like you would go out to eat, and if a bar had it, you'd be like, "Oh, cool! They've got one of those Pac-Man games. This is awesome. I'm gonna play this." Or like they've got one of those bowling games, or they've got whatever arcade. So it would kind of be like an exciting thing if you were at a random restaurant or a random something with your family or whatever, and they had one of these, because you'd always be hoping they did. You'd be like, oh, I wonder if they have video games. That used to be the thing we all used to think about when we went out to eat at restaurants. And the funny thing about that is, it's actually something that helped you go to restaurants, right? Like back then, your parents would be like, oh, he's playing the damn video game, or all he wants to do is play the video game. But nowadays, most restaurants, you know what I mean, don't do that anymore. They don't have these things, or at least for the last, 15 years. We haven't seen these in 20 years even. But, you would actually want to just stay home instead as a kid probably. You'd probably be like your parents are like, hey, we're going to go out to eat. And you'd be like, oh, man, we're going out to eat. Like, this sucks. Like, I want to play Xbox or something. I want to play PlayStation. Why do I have to? Damn it, we have to go out to eat. And then you go out to eat and there wouldn't be anything there and it'd just be food. Whereas back in the 80s and 90s, it's funny because your parents would be like, oh, we're going to go out to eat or whatever. And sometimes you'd be like, oh man, I want to keep playing Nintendo, or I want to keep playing Sega, or I want to, whatever the hell you were doing, watch this TV show. But, you'd be kind of excited that, oh, isn't that the bar with the Pac-Man game, or isn't that the bar with the Ninja Turtles arcade, or whatever. And it's just kind of funny how you used to think that way. And pretty much all of that, like 80% of these were gone, right? Like I feel like 80% of these are gone from regular restaurants and bars and stuff like that. And we don't really have these anymore. But now, in the last, I want to say the last 3 years, they've kind of made a comeback. And it's because they're trying to attract the older crowd. And they're even finding that the younger crowd enjoys it too. You know what I'm saying? Like, the younger kids are like, what is this? This is like an old time game. These are awesome. I've seen these on YouTube, you know? And so, like, there's actually a younger generation wants to play these because they've seen stuff on YouTube or they've heard of the games and they've always known about them, but they haven't gotten to play them. And all of a sudden, you know, now they're getting to see and play these games in a restaurant the way people played them in the 90s and 80s, and they feel like it's fun. You know what I'm saying? Plus, the parents are like, wow, this is like when I was a kid. So then the parents play them. So it's working out for everybody that these kind of things are coming back. You know, we've even seen people open up like video stores and stuff like that. It's weird. But it's only in a retro sort of nostalgia way. You know, it's really weird. We've seen the what are the arcade minis or the 1-up arcades that have come out? They're like $200 to $300, and they're like, what are they, like 30% to 40% the size of a regular arcade? That's the thing I don't like, is they're very small and brittle, and you know, it's kind of fun and cool, like, look, an arcade kind of, but it's not really an arcade, you know. The buttons are so tiny compared to the old ones, really, it feels like, and everything's so small. But you know, it's kind of cool. It's kind of a little, still a throwback, a little nod to the old arcades. But yeah, I was thinking about this, and I just got to thinking about the nostalgia of, and the nostalgia I'm feeling is the feeling of going into a store or restaurant and there being this, you know, being video games in there, and there being this old, especially specifically this classic sort of Pac-Man table. And that's really what I'm thinking about. But I will say that I don't know where you guys live compared to where I live, but I've noticed that that's coming back a little bit, and I don't know if it's coming back, but it's more like, yeah, it is. It's like a gimmick. It's like people, it's strange how restaurants and places went from, you know, we're going to have these arcades to, you know, I think people stopped playing them, I guess. And I'm just talking to myself here, babbling, but I mean, I suppose one of the reasons why, you know, people got rid of the arcades, because why would you get rid of something that was so successful, right? So I got to believe that they weren't successful for a while, right? Am I wrong? I mean, I suppose the service to fix the machine wasn't worth it. You know, maybe in the early 90s, you know, from 1995 down to 1980, whatever, you know, from 1980 to 1995, you know, maybe you noticed, like, you know, every week, hundreds of quarters, you know, and we make $80 every week on this arcade machine, or $30 or $40. And I'm maybe in the late 90s to early 2000s and stuff like that, you know, people really noticed, like, hey, we make like $4 a week on this machine now. Nobody plays it. And then on top of it, it's breaking, and it's going to cost $500 to fix. So when all these machines would break on people, they were like, well, we haven't made money on this thing in 2 years, so let's just get rid of it, and let's add another table. You know what I mean? On some nights it gets packed in here, and we could use another table, I guess. You know, or put something else up, like an ATM machine or whatever, you know. So I suppose that's why all these arcade machines and things like that went out the window, because people were like, kids were like, I don't want to play Pac-Man over there. I got Xbox at home, or I got PlayStation 2 at home, or whatever. Who the hell? I don't want to play Pac-Man. And that was kind of the vibe we had, to be honest. Like, I'm sitting here talking about this nostalgia, but it's true. I'm part of the reason why Pac-Man's gone. I am part of the problem. Because in the early 90s and 80s, I would froth at the mouth to get quarters to stick in these things to play these games. And by 99 to maybe after 99, maybe like after 2000, you know, you go into a place and you just kind of look over and you go, Jesus, Pac-Man, what the hell? And you just go, whatever. And you're like, yeah. And I don't think I popped a quarter in an arcade machine, you know, really much after 2000, unless I was at Dave & Buster's, you know, or like a gaming place, you know, a place where you specifically went for, you know, arcades and tickets and things like that. which are still popular now. In fact, those have made a comeback too in a way. But those have always been popular. You know, those have always survived because they're specifically for that fun time. But just there was such a demand for video games in the 80s and 90s that you could stick arcade machines in a little restaurant and they would make you money. You know, whereas by probably 1999 to, you know, 2010, you know, people were just kind of like, I'm not playing that. Like, what the hell? I'm not going to play that. I'm bored of that. You know, so we all kind of contributed to that. But now because it's been gone for a while, absence makes the heart grow fonder, I suppose. And now we miss this. And people do miss it. And now when you go in and you see one, you're like, oh my God, they have a Pac-Man machine. They have a Pac-Man arcade. Holy crap, I've got to play that. And people pop quarters in it again. And then younger kids go, oh my God, I've heard about these from back in the day. They actually have this here. I'm popping quarters in this thing. You know, or things like that. Or kids actually enjoy the game again because they've played on Xbox or PlayStation, or they've seen the retro games and they've bought them and they're like, oh, this is so cool to be like, I'm at a restaurant and they have this retro game here. This is cool. So, yeah, it's weird. They've made a comeback, and I don't know, I just wanted to talk about how you don't really see these much more, but you're starting to see them again because if you look on eBay, so many people are remaking this. And, by the way, if you guys want to get one, I'm going to put my code in the description box and the comments down below. So if you guys want to get one of the brand new Pac-Man machines, feel free to use my Amazon code, and it will take you to the special deal, and you can get one, and I get credit for it, and it's a whole lot of fun. Now, I didn't make this video to do a plug. I made this video because this was really randomly just happened to me. But since I have, you know, an affiliation with Amazon, I'm able to generate a code for most products, so why not do it, right? Because that's the way, that's the whole reason why Pac-Man went out of business, because people didn't buy it. I mean, Pac-Man didn't go out of business. I don't know why I said that. I'm just, why Pac-Man left the restaurants. And I'm talking about all the other games too, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, if I go into a bar, like, it's at this point now where if I go into a bar or if I went into a restaurant and I saw Mortal Kombat 2 arcade, like the real arcade, even if I saw one of the one-up arcades, I would have to play that. I would be like, I'm like a kid all over again. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, I was like, Mom, I'm going to play that arcade. You know, and then probably in 2000 to 2012, I probably could have seen that arcade and I would have been like, I wouldn't even seen it. I would have walked right by it like, oh, that's arcades, yeah, whatever, okay. Well, you know, but right now I have the feeling that if I saw Mortal Kombat 2 or something in a restaurant, I would be like, I'm playing that. I need to go to the ATM. I need to get change. I need to figure out how to play this. I got to play that. You know, so it's interesting how we change and how, I guess, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and how nostalgia plays a part in our lives, I guess. But anyway, that's my little rant. Nostalgia trip triggered by my son. I would have never made this video had I not
tell everybody what the Pac-Man does.
Seen my son playing with Pac-Man, and having a good time with Pac-Man, and making the noise running around the house because he was playing on one of the retro systems. So thank you to my son for triggering me on this to make me think of Pac-Man. And that's about it. I will see you guys in the next video, and I will see you tonight, potentially, hopefully, for Monetize This live at 11 p.m. right here on Corrupted Nation. And thought I'd do a little bit of a different video because it was on my mind. You guys will hear this full part of this on the episode of Morning Madness if you're on Patreon. But if you're not, I wanted you guys to be able to hear this anyway because I thought it was an interesting thing. What are your memories about all this crap? Yes, I'm 35, and man, I'm gonna be the worst. If I make it to 60 years old, I'm gonna be a mess. I'm just gonna be sitting there like, remember this? Like, that's all I'm gonna do. It's all I'm gonna do. I'm gonna live in the past, which is a horrible thing to do. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Here are some other videos that you might have missed, and leave a comment down below if you'd like. It's all about laughing here. Have a good time and laugh.